We would like you, if you may, to say, I'm Eartha Kitt, and you're watching Zat 1.
Zat 1?
Zat 1. Zat 1. And
Zat 1?
you're watching Zat 1. You're watching Blitz.
I'm watching Blitz or Blitz?
Blitz as in Blitz. Blitz with a B.
Blitz.
Blitz. And you're watching Blitz. And with one of your famous...
Oh God, I'm going to start asking royalties for that growl. You know?
Ja, gut. Ja, sehr gut.
It's going to cost you.
Das ist beide aus.
Ich habe noch was drin.
You just came from rehearsals. I'm recording a friend in the studio. I'm recording music, produce music, and we've just been doing Close to You, and we've only just begun. I had to run all the way here to come and meet you, and so I hope this goes well for both of us. My head's on the line.
I'm not going to say anything about that.
I saw your interview last night. Was that live?
Was live.
It was live.
Well, it was live up to a point. I think it maybe came on the television sets about an hour later.
Right.
In case I did something naughty.
What, like get on the
I has to be censored again. Oh, you saw that? I liked him. He's lots of fun. Yeah. I liked his girlfriend too. She's very pretty. So where are we now? What are we doing?
So first of all, we would like you to do that teaser again. Hi, this is Eartha Kitt and you're watching this.
All right.
If you don't mind.
Don't ask me questions like that. Don't make statements like that if you don't mind. I love it when people say, it's up to you. Of course it's up to me.
I'll decide.
And I just hear, oh, I'm going to kill if they say that to me one more time.
Always asking politely if you don't mind doing this, and do you mind doing that?
Of course, even if I minded, I'd still do it. So are you ready?
Well, I'm actually ready.
You boys are so young, I don't think you'll ever be ready, but anyway.
Okay. Moment. Ja.
These guys are what, 20, 30 something, some years old? Yeah. I'm 40 years ahead of your time. And you'll never catch up. I tell my daughter's 36. And she's always, now mother, kid, remember, I'm your mother, you're not. And no matter how old I get, you'll never be as old as I am.
Well, one of your lesser-known talents, needlepoint. Do you have what you're currently working on with you, or do you only do this at home?
No, I carry it with me all the time. I didn't bring it with me because for obvious reasons. But yes, I have a little, like a little doggy bag with my tapestry and all of that in it, and it goes with me wherever I go. I'm making a rug now, and it's 36 pieces of maybe, like that. And then I do individual ones, and then we put it all together later on. So I'm making a big rug for my sitting room at home, which I have done all of the needlepoint for all of the furniture that's in that room. And I won't tell you how many because I don't remember how many pieces of it. All the furniture in my house is needle pointed.
That's what I read. All your chairs in your dining room,
Yes.
the breakfast room, everything's been done.
I would like to make a painting, at maybe about the size of that. And I think I'm going to do it myself, paint it, and then I will put my children in it. My daughter and her husband and the 2 children. But I have to have a photograph of their faces so I can do that.
Have you never thought of exhibiting it?
No, but I do I auction some off, pillows, for orphanages. So I'm very interested in helping orphaned children, being one myself.
listed in your filmography is I woke up early the day I died. But no information about the movie could be found. Can you enlighten us about this?
I can't enlighten you either. I went to Hollywood, I did the movie. It's going to be a very, well, from what I can see, it's a very, from the script at least, it's a very, very, very funny movie. It's an Ed Wood movie, so it should be very funny. I hope it's very funny, but I can't give you any more information than that because I only know what the script says to me, and it's very amusing.
So it hasn't been...
I think the title alone you should buy a ticket for because it's a curiosity. I have a script now, but I can't believe I didn't get married. I can't believe I forgot to get married, which seems to be a rather prevalent thing these days, but I don't believe in that. I think if you're going to have children, damn it, get the certificate.
What are your plans after this tour, and what can we expect from you in the future?
After this tour, I go home, and I have a few more concerts to do in America. Then I go into the Carlisle Hotel for January, February, and March. And at the same time, I will be rehearsing for the touring production of Madison Square Garden's version of, well, it's not the version, it's the original, from the original script, The Wizard of Oz. Guess what part I'm playing?
Annie?
The Wicked Witch of the West. I can't wait to get into this role. I even brought my broom. It's in the closet at the hotel. I've got you now, my pretty and your little doggy. It's going to be so much fun. And Mickey Rooney is playing the Wiz.
Really?
That should be hysterical. So we did all of our preliminary publicity things a couple of days ago, just before I left. It was quite fun.
And this will tour the States or tour?
Yes, it tours all of the main cities in the United States. But whomever has the rights, which is Madison Square Garden, they have the rights of the world, so you never know. We may be here doing the Wicked Witch of the West, darling.
Well, hope to see you.
And boy, am I going to be wicked. Wow.
Oh, wow.
You're fun, I like you.
You are. Wherever I lay my hat, that's my home.
Well, I just wrote a song not long ago called Wherever I Hang My Heart is Home. I can throw my hat anywhere, but my heart is in my home, which is me.
During the late 60s, you were blacklisted in the States because you spoke out against American intervention in the Vietnam War. Your career in the States came to a sudden halt. You were forced to find work overseas. Did you ever think of giving up your US citizenship?
No.
During that time?
No, because no matter what citizenship you have, you may have the same problem. I'm quite sure that the German people did not want to be involved in wars. I'm quite sure that the Canadians did not want to be involved in wars. Any of us mothers, particularly, who born the children into this world, whom we want to be here for our future and their future, we do not want to have somebody sitting in a big chair anywhere, no matter which part of the world it is, to tell my child that now you are of age and you must go out and kill. I don't believe in that. And I think that man should be intelligent enough in this 20th century, and now we're coming up with the 21st century, is it now? That man should be, by now, for heaven's sakes, after millions of years, intelligent enough to realize that wars kill and do not mend. They wound and they do not heal anything or anybody. So why would a government allow me to bring my child into a world? I pay for it to be brought into the world through the emotional pains and the physical pains, which happen to be very rewarding. And then I pay taxes for this child to be taken away from me by my government, to be shot or killed or maimed or learn to hate. And the government brings out this animal killing instinct of our children, and they bring them back from these wars, if they are lucky enough to come back from the wars, and they don't detoxify this kind of instinct, they throw them back into the society and expect them to go on the way they were the day before they were sent off to the war. And they don't know how many diseases or what kind of diseases they come back with, what kind of emotional disturbances they have. And I think it's very unfair to the children, to our young people. And these men who sit in these big chairs, I wrote a poem about that many years ago when Nixon was in the big, and I called it the man in the seat. And I hope that I am able to say this poem one of these days, because it tells you about how me, as a mother, as a woman, as a citizen, not only of my own country, but a citizen of the world, feels about men who send the children off to wars and do not detoxify that killer instinct when they come back. And they wonder why there's so many people on the street who are wandering around, begging. You don't know if these boys are from the Vietnam War, from the Korean War, from the Gulf War. And we know men who are from the First World War who are still wandering around, wondering what happened. And I am, as a woman, I'm still wondering, why do we fight each other and teach hatred? You have to teach the children to hate. They don't hate on their own. I don't think so. Like the song says, you have to be very carefully taught to hate. But love is an instinctive thing. I don't think hatred is. It may be, but hatred can be controlled. I don't think you can ever control love. And that's why in many ways, I think love should be controlling the world, not weapons.
But how can you control the emotion of love?
Don't try. Let it go.
Have you seriously thought of publishing your poem?
I have so many poems sitting on my desk at home. But I don't think that I have reached a point of being, I guess the word is egotistical. I don't have that kind of ego yet to put my poems into a book. But I am going to be 71 years old come January 17, and I don't have too many more years. So I'm quite sure that my daughter will eventually put them into a book. Maybe any minute now.
Well, you appear to be constantly working more and more. What drives you to continue working so hard when your contemporaries appear to have given up their careers?
I don't think that anything we love is giving up. I love my work. I don't like the nonsense that goes on around it. I don't like the ugliness in the back of show business itself. But I love my work. I love that contact with the people. I love the love of people. And I love the idea of being able to sustain myself in the manner in which the public feels comfortable with. And I too am very comfortable with that. And since I do love my work, there is no reason why I should think in terms of quitting. I'm not saying that I'm going to go on traveling as much as I'm traveling now, because I tell you the truth, darling, you were 30 or 40 years old, not even, you're just 30. That one is 30, and this one maybe is 35. You can go on physically for a very long time. But now I'm 70 and I'm getting tired of the travel, but not tired of work. So there is no reason why I should give up as long as the public wants me. Besides, I do have a chaise lounge on the stage. I can always recline and still be a bit naughty. Ow.
There's a saying that music is the international language of the world. You've recorded and sing in many foreign languages. Do you enjoy the rapport and the challenge that you get from doing that?
Yes, because to me everything is an exchangement of culture. And I do believe in that. If we were to learn more about one another and be more interested in each other's cultures, I think we would have a better relationship with each other, no matter what color or creed or religion we are. Therefore, in the beginning of me becoming Eartha Kitt, everywhere I went, as far as being in a foreign country, being in a different neighborhood, there was something that I was always like a sponge bringing into myself. Therefore, coming back to my country, I executed through my songs these words of the culture, of the language, through the language that I had just visited. Sometimes it was accepted extremely well, particularly now. But in the beginning, in my own country, it was not accepted too well. And maybe because I was also not only singing in German, but I was also speaking German. And in the 50s, in the United States, nobody told me, I was not sensitive to that it was not a very comfortable thing for the people, some people, to hear the German language. Then too, it was in the critiques that what is she? What does she think she's doing? She's, because when they asked me, what is your nationality? I said, I'm an American. I was born in the cotton fields of South Carolina. And because they thought the agents particularly says, she's such a beautiful creature, they wanted me to belong to an island, which would be more easily acceptable. And I could be then more easily placed as far as the business is concerned. But when I say, I'm an American brown-skinned woman from the cotton fields of South Carolina, well, that was a little bit too honest for them to handle, and therefore now they don't know how to deal with it. And therefore, they say, when all of these languages that she's singing in, what is it? What is she trying to do? Now, after I made the stamp on singing in foreign languages as a brown-skinned American woman, it is now very accepted, and very many people, black, white, pink, and green, were then trying to sing in as many languages as I sang in, which happened to be like 13 or 16 different languages, including Tagalog. Waray, waray, hindi tatakas, waray, waray, handan matolas, wararay, abala bukas, waraway, manigas. Now this is a very interesting subject to me because it's a language, the original language of the Philippine Islands. We didn't know anything about the Philippines to begin with, except that our boys were there, supposedly protecting the people from whomever they said they were protecting the people from. So our American boys and maybe the Canadian boys and of our allies were also in the Philippines protecting the Western world from whatever. But they didn't know anything about the people themselves. So the first language is Tagalog, the second language is Spanish, in some areas particularly, and English. So these people speak, most of them speak 3 different languages. And Tagalog is the basic language. Had you ever heard that language before, or even the fact that there is a language called Tagalog? Well, through the singing of these songs, we become aware of that. And this is what I mean by exchangement of cultures.
Which is why music
is the language of the world. And it's the communicating line. The artists and the sports worlds, particularly, are the ones who go from one end of the world to the other, and we open the gates and we open the doors to other worlds, to other cultures. It's the politicians that closes them. But if you were to leave the artist alone, many more doors would be open than any politician can open.
So musicians should move on to become politicians, or politicians should then become musicians?
Why not both? Because I feel that I know much more in many ways about the people of different areas of the world than any politician would. Even the politician of the country that they are being a politician to. Because politicians have a tendency to walk through a neighborhood and kiss the babies and shake the hands, and they're wanting votes. They're conning the people into thinking, I'm a good person. Give me your vote and I will do for you. I don't want the politicians to do anything for me. I want the politicians to get the hell out of my life, leave me alone, and let me do my own thing. If you want 10% of my earnings, then fine. I think 1 percent of people should, what do you call that, of your salary should be given to the government, but not as an escalating point where I don't know if I make $1 or 1 penny more, then the government says you are now in this tax bracket. If I make 1 penny more, I'm now in another bracket, and another penny more, I'm now in another bracket, which means that if that's the case, you are denying me the privilege of escalating myself economically according to the way I feel I'm entitled to. And you're also denying me the privilege of hiring another person that I can afford to be on my payroll. Because now I know I went through this. When I had 5 or 6 or 10 people working around my gardens and in my house, I came to the conclusion one year that the more people I had working for me, I had to pay workmen's compensation, I had to pay insurance, I had to pay their taxes, I had to pay their this and their that, and then by the time I got through, I was working for my help rather than my help working for me. So you start firing people. But if you were to leave people alone, so that I say I gave you 10% of the government, 10% of my earnings, so that I know 90 cents out of every dollar I can do whatever I want to do with, then that gives me the incentive to live however according I feel to live within the boundaries of that 90 cents, including hiring people to help me exist.
And in turn...
So the government can turn out to be your worst enemy. And they are no better than the mafia as far as I'm concerned. But at least the mafia, you know the mafia is going to kill themselves, each other. But the government, you never know when the government is going to come and send your children off to war, and they're killing us. Legally. And we're paying for it.
Eartha for president.
I'll drink to that. It's a very interesting thing to me because as a person of my own country, they say we have, and I love America. Basically, I think America is still the best country that I would like to that I still want to be living in. So I will never give up my American citizenship because I'm free. I'm a free person. I'm a free soul. I'm a free mind. I'm a free thinker. I just have an American passport and I have my residence in the United States because I happen to feel very comfortable in my own country within reasons. Not that any of us will ever feel that comfortable in any of our countries that we say, I'm so comfortable that I'm not going to say something is wrong and I would like to correct it. I don't think that we should go through life with our heads in the sand and not tell the government if we feel unhappy about something, that we pay their salaries, they don't pay ours. They take our salaries away from us. Therefore, we are responsible as citizens through our taxes to say, you're wrong, I'm sorry, don't bother me, leave me alone. You do your thing and let me do my thing. And if you want to take my children, I rebel against that. Because I bring a child into the world for the child to be educated properly, and and that's what I work for. I need my children to be warm and 3 meals a day at least on the table, and that's what I work for. And I want my child to be living in a free, democratic world. That's what I work for, and that's what I pay taxes for. Why is the government denying me these privileges? So that both people of whether it's your country or my country, both parents have to work in order for us to put bread and butter on the table. Why? Because they are taking our taxes to such an extent that we are denying the home, parental living style of the children. Because we're not there. One parent should be there all the time, at least until the child gets to a certain age. And that one parent has to be earning enough money so that it's comfortable for the whole family to survive on that one salary. Or you take chances. One goes to work now and you come home for the children. And that one goes to work now and you come home for the children. It should be an understanding that one parent is always there for that child.
Your own childhood was very traumatic. Do you have you given your daughter the love that you feel you were denied as a child?
Yes, because I didn't get any love. So the love that I give my child, of course, is more than I ever got from whomever was responsible for me. And I realized that I didn't want anybody to be responsible for me because I would work being given away. I became the working horse, the working mule, the working machine of the family. First one to get up in the morning, the last one to go to bed at night. Anything and everything that had to be done, including picking the cotton in the cotton fields for 1 penny a pound. It takes a whole day for the strongest man in the world to pick 100 pounds of cotton in order to earn $1 a day. The family that I was given to, if there was plenty of food, I was okay. If there was not plenty of food, then it was between the dogs, the cats, the birds, and whatever, the worms, whatever was going around, as to who was going to get whatever was thrown from the table. But it taught me how to survive. I lived in the forest with him. I wasn't actually living in the forest, but I was in the forest most of the time when there was no chores to do, because I was watching to see where the animals went to get food. That's why sometimes I get so angry, so annoyed, and so off when people are relying on government to come and help them. I'm not talking about people who cannot really get help. I'm talking about strong-bodied people who feel that the government should come and put bread in your mouth. God helps those who help themselves. And that should be the point of our existence. So my childhood was, if you were to think about it, yes. And if I was to think about it, if you were to think about it, yes, because you asked me that question. It was a childhood that was, well, I can say that I didn't get patted on the head to say you've done a good job. And I didn't get the hugs and the kisses that the other kids were getting. I remember the first day I went to school, the other kids, because my skin is not dark like theirs were, they would spit on me and do whatever they could to insult me, hurt my feelings. And there were a bunch of us one day going to school. I remember the very first day, going from that plantation around the road, forest, going to that St. Peter's Church where the school was. We were going, I think there must have been, 5 or 6 of us going to the school. And here comes in the other direction, maybe 5 or 6 kids, white kids coming from that direction. And it was a muddy road. So these kids, the white kids, put their hands together like that on a chain. And they went through us and pushed us into the gutter, into the side of the road. One saying, "Nigger, nigger is a fool, nigger, nigger needs no school." So, so you kind of feel that you are a reject. And I was a reject not only on the white people's side, but also on the black side. Because I'm illegitimate. I'm a mulatta. So I didn't talk. I was hiding all the time. And when I really think about it, if I didn't have this makeup on, I would still be hiding. I know I still do. And I know sometimes I act very abrupt and very uncomfortable for people who are meeting me for the first time, because I feel scared. And I don't want to be in a position where I'm going to be rejected. So I put myself in a position where I reject myself first. And I know I do that. So you can't blame people, really, because they are conditioned to these things. They're taught. And a glass of wine. Yeah, let's have a glass of wine.
Don't give him any alcohol.
He's just standing there holding this bowl. Why can't he have a glass of wine?
Yes. Sorry, I've got
or something.
Three questions. Oh, I wish we were here all night.
No, I don't mind. This is interesting. It's also a matter of...
Thanks.
It's also a matter of me cleaning myself, too. And sometimes I know people like Mr. Hartman said, you can only have 5 minutes, you can only have 10 minutes, you can have... But sometimes the person who is asking me the question also becomes my analyst. Because when you ask me a question, it depends on how you question, and it brings out a kind of feeling in me that I know hurts. So then I say, leave me alone.
Well, I hope I'm not.
What do you call that? You are purging. Did you call that?
Purging.
Purging myself, yes. So I'm fine.
Well, I'll be your analyst anytime. And I won't take 10%. I read somewhere that you were called a yellow girl?
Yella.
Yellow.
It's Y-E-L-L-A,
Yellow.
which means that you have no color at all. You're not black, you're not white.
This is an Afro-American terminology?
Yeah. It's a white man's terminology,
White man.
yellow gal, as far as I know. But at any rate, everybody was calling me a yellow gal. And I'm also illegitimate. Now, we all know that whoever owns the slaves, if there's a beautiful girl in that herd, somebody is going to take advantage of that wonderful, beautiful girl. And that's the case where I'm from. Now, we have, after all these years, found a birth certificate. I was not able to find it myself because it's under another name. The last name is Eartha Kitt Fields. And I'm looking for Kitt. On the paper, it says Fields. So in this last year, I was asked to do a benefit for the Columbia University of South Carolina. As a joke, I said, why don't you ask the students of that college to do a research on Eartha Kitt? Maybe they can find a piece of paper that says, at least I exist. Well, they did, and they found this piece of paper. And it was also extremely interesting to me because when they called me and told me from this house of what these papers are in, the lady calls my house and she says, or she called my daughter, and she said, we have this birth certificate and we are quite sure it's Eartha Kitt's birth certificate. Does she want us to send it to her through the mail or does she want to come in and pick it up? When I spoke to her directly on the phone, obviously I felt something in her voice that was saying, it's best for you to come and pick it up, even though there were no words there. I said, I'm going to be in South Carolina and the Columbia University to do this narration of this play. I will come into the building and pick it up myself, personally. I did, with my daughter. As we are walking through the lobby to go to the office of this lady, there was a lady standing in line, and she was looking for her. She was there to get her birth certificate as well. And this shows you how fate works and has always worked with me. And I do believe in fate and karma. What you do unto others is going to come back on you. I go in, and the lady who has the piece of paper, she has her hand over the paper like that. And she said, we know who your father is. But we cannot tell you who your father is. Because at the time you were born, if the man was not married to the mother, it was not legal for the name of the father to be put on the birth certificate. So I still have not gotten my father's name. I have to take somebody to court, and then the judge has to decide whether he wants to let me know who my father is. Now, I go back to the rehearsal, and when I get back to my hotel, I get a phone call. Biscuit, The lady one of my secretaries was standing in line when you went into the building and da-da-da-da-da, and she came back to the office and she was complaining that Eartha Kitt came into the office and blah, 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 and she went right through, and I'm standing there for hours and da-da-da-da-da-da. He said, she's my cousin. The lady who was standing in line, who was blah, blah, blahing about Eartha, blah, 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 she turned out to be the secretary of the man who turned out to be the cousin of me, who's a white guy. And he met me at the hotel, and he says, yes, we know you are our cousin, but we were not supposed to talk about it. But if you really want us to now talk about it because you're so famous, welcome to the family. But I still have to go to court because I haven't had the time yet to go to South Carolina and have the judge decide whether he's going to let me know who my real father is, even though they know.
Is your father still alive?
Well, of course, I don't think he's alive now. But the cousins and the relatives are. So it may turn out that I own the whole state of South Carolina. Wouldn't that be funny? And if I owned I'm joking. But suppose that was to happen. You know what I would do? I would plant plantations of cotton from here to Timbuktu. And I would hire every goddamn agent I know to pick it. Except the one I have now, Jerry Cravat. He's very good.
And politicians. Pension.
Deduct everything, every privilege a politician has, I would deduct. No, 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 no. You have to live on what you get as a salary. Oh, I think the whole situation is so funny. It's so really funny. That's why if you don't go through life with a sense of humor, what else is there? As long as you have bread on the table, 3 square meals a day, warm clothing, and a damn good sense of humor, and always keep the mind open to thinking, and not be so dogmatically into one line of thought that you cannot see the different innuendos of those thoughts coming through from different sides. My mind is like a sponge, and I, myself, am like a sponge. Even the things that you don't think I see, I may not see it, but I sure in hell feel it.
You've been nominated for the Oscar, the Tony, as well as the Grammy and the Emmy. Is it important for you as an artist to have your talents recognized by the industry in general?
I think it's wonderful to be recognized as an artist by your peers. But very often we are not judged by our peers. We are judged by somebody maybe who never even... You're having another problem over there with the train.
It's the streetcar.
Okay.
Streetcar travels by here.
All right. Well, I think it's to be recognized by your peers. It's a very honorable position to be in. And I don't know really if it's the worthwhile thing to get an award, because very often these awards can be very dangerous because it classifies you as a personality of the character that you have been awarded for, which means that the industry might just want you to be playing that one character for the rest of your life. So you may be sitting around waiting for another script to come along, and when the industry itself does not perhaps realize that you're capable of doing more than one character. So that, I think, is the danger.
The danger of being typecast.
Yes.
So if any award, which one would you most like to have won?
And I have one. My daughter gave me an award for being the best mother she's ever had. Well, of course, that's very interesting. I love it. And every now and then she writes me a little note that says, "You're the best mommy. You're the best mommy." So that, to me, is extremely important. And of course, as a mother and daughter, as a parent and children with children, be it the father or the mother, you are going to go through these frictionistic kind of relationships with your children. But I think that's extremely healthy, as long as you can talk about it, get it out, and have a better understanding for one another. I like it when the children will come to you and talk to me. I only have one child and she has 2 children, but we are extremely close. Sometimes I think maybe my daughter and I might perhaps be dangerously too close because we want to take care of each other maybe a bit too much, and that can be rather uncomfortable with a friction relationship.